What is going on, YouTube? I hope you guys are doing fantastic today. Today, we're bringing you guys a little KHEPRI God Guide video. Pretty sure he's got to be like a top 5, like most played / favorite God in support. He's got a pretty overall simple kit, but I think people overlook some stuff about his kit. I just want to highlight everything, give you a little build for him right now, and yeah, you guys can go out there on the battlegrounds and just... I was gonna say slay them all, but like stop your teammates from getting slayed. There you go. All right, well, this is KHEPRI. KHEPRI is a backline defensive support. He's got very low engage, but he's got superb peel. Absolutely superb peel, and he's got really good bait potential. You play KHEPRI either with a god you want to keep alive, Zeus, Kali, Apwash, probably some other gods you can say, Artemis, gods that just stay alive a lot by themselves. Or they don't stay alive a lot by themselves, but if they do stay alive, they can almost solo win you that team fight. That is like KHEPRI's entire job. He's got a very safe laning phase. He's got decent kill potential. It's more of a, you want to live the laning phase unless your ADC can kind of just 1v2 it, and then you're there for just CC. Artemis and KHEPRI's a really good dual lane combo because of Artemis passive combined with KHEPRI kit. I'll give you some of my favorite 2v2s with KHEPRI, and yeah. So we're going to start out with the start. KHEPRI is very good at benevolence. I know you guys still ask this question a lot, and I know it's still very curious that you guys don't really understand still why you build Sentinels or Compassion, or Sentinels or Benevolence. Sentinels works all the time. Sentinels is almost always good all the time. But probably 60% of the time, Benevolence and Compassion is just better, if that makes sense. So Sentinels is fine or good a lot, but Compassion is just better a lot of the time. If you're playing to blink in, Compassion is very hard to use because every time your teammate takes damage, you will be put in combat and you won't be able to blink. So if you're planning on playing some engage god, Sentinels is very good. If you're planning on building a couple damage items like a Deso, Ratatouille, Magus, Divine, anything like that, E-Staff, Sentinels might be a little bit better just because you're looking to blink, you're looking to engage, do a little bit more damage. You want to be as tanky as possible. With Compassion, you are going to be a little squishier because you're going to be eating more damage that your teammates are taking. So say your teammates take 1,000 damage around you, you're taking 150 of that damage, and it's only 850 to your teammates then. So that's why Compassion is so good. But KHEPRI does use Compassion very well. He uses Benevolence very well. So we're gonna be going Benevolence, and then he is very, very good with Thebes. The start would just be tier 1 Thebes. Depending on the laning phase, so you can go 4 pots top and then a hog. Always go hog right now. You need it to get to lane as quick as possible. Sometimes if they have a very bad laning phase, or if you're just confident that you can just smash them and you don't need the healing pots, sometimes go 3, just because this is some gold you are saving if you aren't forced to use it in the laning phase. And then we'll take a look at relics after going through the build. Right now, Thebes is good on gods that are building Benevolence. Gives them kind of that level 5 spike, that Thebes spike also at level 7, 8, 9, whenever you fully finish it. 99% of the time, just go Thebes. After this is where you can kind of mix it up a little bit because of how KHEPRI plays. He is backline, but he has a lot of utility in his kit, so you can build him kind of however you want. Sov gives you a lot of physical tankiness, gives you some HP 5, so you can take some poke. Sov is always good. Heartword is good if they're long range like Thoth or Zeus, and you just need a lot of magical damage because you know that's who's going to be killing you. You can go Shoguns if you're planning on playing those objectives. KHEPRI is very, very open. I think he is a cooldown dependent god, but I don't think it's as insane as the Emoja. That's why with the Emoja, you see those Thebes into Pridwins, because she is near useless without her ult. So you need that ult up as quick as possible, and then the more times you have that ult up, the more you can spam abilities because of how it works in her ult. You get more Omi regen. Yeah, you guys understand. But yeah, KHEPRI is cooldown dependent, but not to the degree of Emoja, so you don't need a cooldown item right away. Let's just go Sov, Heartword. Because if you're a backline support, this build works 99% of the time. You could build this every single game on KHEPRI, and you're like, that felt really good. Say we hit level 20. You got these 3 items, then you're going to be going into Compassion. So right now you're sitting at about 200 physical prots, 183 magical prots. Here's where you can kind of switch it up. Like I said, Shoguns is almost always good. Just because how it works, you're going to be playing around your team. It'll arouse your objective damage to be a bit higher. So these 5 items, I kind of recommend nearly every game. Obviously, if they're focused on killing you, you might need a Mantle. Relic Dagger maybe if you have a lot of cooldown that's needed. But every single game, I think just like this, and then Mantle will work perfectly. Sitting at 260, 300, you have 4 auras, and then if you feel like you're taking a lot of physical damage, feel free to sell your Shoguns, get a Nemean, sell your Heartword, get a spectral, whatever it feels like. If you feel like you're taking a lot of damage to the auto attacker, KHEPRI doesn't feel like you're usually taking damage to the auto attacker because of how far back you're usually going to be playing. You're not going to be really eating those autos as much. So that build is what I recommend. For relics, KHEPRI uses Ankh okay. Ankh is usually very good when you're diving and you can get onto their entire team, but he still uses it okay for their dive if they use a lot of healing. Aegis, not KHEPRI. He's very good with both sprints. Entangling Wings gives him another form of CC that doesn't DR. He has a non-DR 1, a non-DR 3, and then a non-DR Entangling Wings, which is sick. Hasten is also very good for chase potential. Your ult gives movement speed also, so you give like kind of like a lot of gas pedal. I've seen KHEPRI's go blink before. I'm pretty sure Mike's done it. I'm pretty sure Aurora Genetics has done it. And every single time that I do it, it doesn't feel as impactful. Like maybe you can get like one pick with it if somebody's beads are down. But most of the time, you can get more value out of a blink a relic elsewhere. But if you are the only form of engage and you need to be going in, you might just have to bite the bullet and go blink. Beads works if you're playing against like a Dodgy, a Horus, something that like if they CC you, you are going to die. Feel free to go the beads because of how defensive your kid is, the beads won't feel that bad. Teleport, not on KHEPRI. Sometimes it works in support, but it's mostly on aggressive supports. Med actually feels really good right now late game, but early game, it feels lackluster. Even though it feels good late game, it's kind of like Vamana, where if they just go Ankh, or if they go a lot of anti-heal, you just don't feel like it's doing anything. You still get the cooldown reset, which is nice. This one is not very good. Don't go this one. You can go the cooldown reset one, but it still just doesn't feel as impactful. Maybe a small buff to med, I think, would make it a little bit better, just to the base one. Because right now, it's pretty meh in the early game, and then it turns into a good late game one, but they can pretty easily counter with some anti-heal. Shell's fantastic right now. Bow Shell is very, very good if they're trying to walk you down to the wall, build the Fortifying or Phantom Shell and get through it. They just have a lot of damage and you want to reduce that damage. Fortifying Shell is very, very, very strong. Thorns, probably the worst relic in the game right now, and unless you're playing Cthulhu or Kuzumbo, I would never build it. Sunder's actually pretty good right now. I think the left one is pretty decent, and I think if you're trying to kill the guy that you pull as KHEPRI, I think the Sunder is actually pretty good. This one I don't think is very good. Bracer of Brilliance I think is in a very, very good spot. It's very good on KHEPRI. It's very good on aggressive or backline supports because it gives you that possibility of both. Gives you power, gives you movement speed for chase and for defensive potential. Horrific, I think it is in a very good spot right now. It doesn't feel great on KHEPRI. Sometimes you can get a nice little play on it, especially with how fantastic this item is. Like, because of how busted this item is, it almost still feels good on KHEPRI, but I just don't think I'd get baited by it, and I think I'd just go Frenzy, which is also fantastic. I would go one of the other relics, but honestly, because of how good the Emblem of Increasing Peril is, it probably wouldn't even feel that terrible on KHEPRI, even though I don't think it fits his kind of style as well. For the level order, I know this is like a highly debated thing for KHEPRI players with how and which abilities do you max. I'm a 2 maxer. This 2 is bonkers as soon as you get it leveled up. Mitigation by 30%, protection debuff by 25%. Percentages are so good, especially that high at any point of the game. So instead of having a 120 prot support running at you, this guy's only got 85. Instead of having your Zeus detonate hit your mid laner for 500, it's hitting for 200. Or sorry, 300. Stuff like that. Like, it reduces damage and increases your team's damage onto them by so much. I think it is very worth getting the points into it. So at level 1, I'd put a point into my 2. Or at level 1, I put a point into my 2. At level 2, I put a point into my 1. At level 3, you just want all your KHEPRI abilities because they're all good. And then a point into your 2 again. Point into your ult. Another couple points into your 2. And then here's another point where it splits off. Some people like this range damage that you have with KHEPRI. I feel it doesn't do as much. The CC doesn't go up as much. I think the protections actually feel pretty good. So I put points into my 1 here. Ult again, 2. And then switch off between if I can level my ult and my 1. I think it goes like this. I think I did that correctly. You could slow it down if you want and go kind of level by level, but I think I did that correctly. My prio is 2 ult 1 3. You'll see a lot of games I only have 1 point into my ult, and I put a 5th point into my 2 just because I think the 2 is so insane. A couple dual lanes that I really, really like. KHEPRI and Artemis is very hard to punish because of how safe KHEPRI makes her and how much damage and kill potential she still has. Artemis's kit means when people are CC'd, they take extra damage from her. KHEPRI's got a lot of CC and a lot of lockdown for her to do even more CCing and even more lockdown to make her do even more damage. If she wants that blink beads route, you also have KHEPRI ult instead of that Aegis for another form of safety. Or if you just have beads Aegis, you have another form of safety in terms of in favor of the ult. How I like to use KHEPRI is I just kind of sit back, wait for the solo laner to go in, or the jungler to go in, or even the support. And all I really do is you just toss your 2 on them, and then you pull them. And then you let your team just do the rest. Toss your 2, because it reduces their procs, and then you pull them for some lockdown. And if they don't backflip or anything, you just root them. If they do backflip, dash away, then you can look to root them as they are running away. You can also just fish with your root in the laning phase. You're just kind of dancing around. He starts playing a little too far up. Your root comes up, and you just toss it out, and your ADC is allowed to poke off of it. KHEPRI's kit is very simple, but it is very different in how effective you can make it with the way you use your abilities. Sometimes you have enough CC that you don't need to use your pull or your 3, but you should use your 2 on them because you want to get that extra damage. Sometimes you want to hold your 2 just because you know you can kill somebody because they don't have beads, so you just pull. Same with your root. They don't have actives, jump, or anything, so you just root them, and you don't need to use anything else. It's very specific with KHEPRI because his 3-2 pull doesn't DR. He's got a full almost 4 seconds of CC in his kit, along with 3 seconds of shredding their prots. Well, shredding, it debuffs their prots. Also, getting points into the ult is very, very good because the revived health goes up. I like to usually just take about a 2,000 health target as that's what you're ulting. If you're ulting a 2,000 health target and you only have 1 pointing into this, that they're only getting 500 health. However, if you have the 5th point into it, they're getting almost 1,000. Just goes up by a lot, and I like putting points into it. Like I said, his kit is not that hard, but the one last thing I want to talk about is probably the most underrated part of his kit, and it's his passive. Fortitude makes his laning phase, which should be weak, strong. It makes his late game, I almost want to say like broken, just because of how good this actually is. He gives 10% of maximum health shield to people around him. So if you're sieging or if you're trying to stop siege, all your characters have 110% health, and it sustains back every 5 seconds. I think it's kind of insane, and I think it's very undervalued part of his kit. It's very good in the laning phase also, so make sure you're staying by your ADC to give them some shield also. You can out-trade just by using that little 10% shield as your trade material, and then use their actual health bar. Forces them sometimes into using pots, and you don't even have to just because you have your shield taking all the damage. I also think KHEPRI is very good with Medusa right now, just because of how much damage she has, and her want to play aggressive. He kind of gives her another avenue to play either passive or aggressive, and he gives her extra safety. What I think he works worst with is characters that want to play this early game very aggressively. The Onhers, the Ulers, there's probably a couple more I'm forgetting. Even Cerns, stuff like that. He plays fine with them because he has CC, but he plays best with those gods that just want to play when his cooldowns are up. Like, you don't want to just jump in just because you wanted like stat check him or anything. You want to just play around KHEPRI's cooldowns, KHEPRI's abilities, KHEPRI's passive, and you'll basically be untradeable. But there it is, a little KHEPRI God Guide. If you guys have any questions, curious about anything, ask in the comments below. If you guys are not subscribed, love the subscription, and yeah, see ya.